Hello, Miss Kimberly, embodiedlight.com. Voight. You guys, in case you don't wait to the end because you're impatient like me, please go to her site, which is embody-light.com. I will put it at the end of the video as well. So, and also hit subscribe and the notification bell. So, we are going to have a Twin Flames part 3, and bad old me, I labeled the last one part 3 because I guess I can't count. It's the new math. And so the last Twin Flames video was labeled part 3, but I went ahead and changed that, so we're good. Now, this is truly part 3. So enough gibberish. Kim, Eric, take it away. Eric, I love you, and I appreciate this so much.
Well, and he says, Mom, I love you to pieces. And he's like blowing you kisses. So he's being a very, very sweet guy today.
Yeah.
So after our last Twin Flame recording, I kept bugging Eric because I felt like there was more we could have talked about, and I just wasn't sure what it was. So a few days later, him and I were chatting, and he said, well, start off by making that analogy that you did in the first one again, where if you imagined plugging into source like you were plugging into an outlet,
Okay.
But when two twin flames plug in together, that is source in motion. That's God's love. So he said, start out by explaining that to you.
Yes, cool. Okay, yeah, do that.
And he said, tell her too, because you were asking about other people reflecting the twin flame back to you. He said specifically to tell you that you'll see it in your husband's eyes when there's an extra twinkle. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And those times that seem magical. He also says that you see it in your grandchildren because they're such open, loving, open-hearted, unconditionally loving people. He says you'll see that extra twinkle, or you'll see him maybe do a facial expression or a mannerism that was just like I used to do at that age. And he said, know that that's me, Mom, reflecting back to you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was fun. And then I said, okay, so tell me what you were talking about. And I know a little bit about this with my children, but what were you talking about with the children of these twin flame unions, how it's a benefit for them or they get an extra spark? So then he started telling me about, and I've known this also, that okay, there's a couple times that we merge back into oneness with God or with Source, and that's when we sleep. That's one of those times.
Oh,
That's
wow.
provided, except for people that say like they're heavily intoxicated or taking really heavy drugs.
Yeah.
They do not merge back into Source with
Well,
their.
that's no good. That's a definite disadvantage.
Right. So normal people who are doing those things merge back into Source, into oneness with Source while they're sleeping. But people who are twin flames during the act of intimacy, when there's no space or time between them, if a child is conceived in that sacred union, that child has an extra spark. He's saying it's like their spiritual DNA, their codons are activated much more easily than a child that was conceived in a non-twin flame union.
Oh,
Not that child in a non-twin flame union could not do that, but it's more of a natural thing for children that were conceived in a twin flame union. So he started talking about your two girls. One's a doctor and one's studying to be, correct?
Yeah, and then well, this Christina is an anesthesiologist. Then the next in line is Michelle, who's an ER nurse, and the baby, the 5th kid, is she's Annika, and she is going to be starting her 4th year medical.
So it's Christina and Annika. Michelle's a whole different story. We'll get to her next. But those two girls he was talking about most specifically. What he said was they will have the ability. He says they're kind of like going to be bridges between the medical world and the spiritual world.
Mm.
They will have the ability to stay very grounded and do their job. And then when they need to decipher across, kind of cross the dimension or the veil and
Wow.
get the information and insight they need from spirit and bring it back into physicality. He said, like, instantaneously. And he
Okay.
gave me the example. He said, like, for me, say if um, I was channeling and had clients that day and then went to go balance my checkbook, I would have a really hard time coming down from the level of consciousness that I was to go right into doing my checkbook. But he's
Hmm.
saying, but those girls could. That's the difference. Or he says, like, say I'm doing say, like, I'm working on my income taxes. This
Okay.
actually just happened recently. I'm working on my income taxes, and somebody's texting me. They want a session, they want a reading.
Hmm.
Well, I can't just drop it and give you a reading because I'm not there. It's like I'm in the basement working and I have to meditate and go upstairs and clear my thoughts of math and government and all that stuff I don't like to deal with before I do a reading. Yes, I could do your reading, but it's not going to be as good because I'm not there in consciousness at the time. But so he says it's a very easy ability to switch back and forth.
Okay. Sorry, I'm emailing texting back my pool guy because it's a little disaster here and there.
Oh,
I turned the wrong valve. That's all I want to say. But Papa is in Norway, and he said, turn all the valves to the right. And I did. And anyway, that's me.
uh-oh.
All right. So
Oh,
that's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's those two. Then
No,
he started.
so that it doesn't just apply to me. How can we, um, you know, uh, expand or extrapolate this information to others who may have a Christina and Annika as children? How can they tell? How can they foster that? I mean, whatever you need to say.
Um, well, he says, okay. So he says you do a good job at fostering it, and a lot of people do. Um, he said one of the ways you can tell is things just seem natural for them. Like, I could use the example of my oldest daughter. She is completely not into anything psychic, anything channeling,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Okay.
But yet she's starting to now.
Oh, why?
Yeah, she
All of a sudden, that's cool.
after I told her about the story of Sarah when I was Sarah Good and that she was my daughter Mercy, she could make sense out of all that and she believed it. So now she's starting to get into it. She actually thinks that's pretty cool.
Cool. The cool
Yeah,
mom. Good.
yeah. But so anyways, so all these years she just thought that was the stupidest thing she'd ever heard of, wouldn't listen to it, wouldn't follow along. But yet she's in complete alignment. Just her life. I mean, if you just look at it, everything just unfolds for her naturally.
Yeah.
Like the day she got married was some significant sacred union day or something, and she hadn't planned that. She didn't know anything about it. Um, her she has children, and she's had to have C-sections, so she chooses the birth for one of her children at 11/11/11 on
Oh, wow.
11/11/11 without knowing why or what. She just
Yeah.
does things like that. She's just in alignment.
I
He
see.
says that's where you would recognize it. And he says too that they're a little calmer, don't get rattled by things as much.
Oh, that's so true. So,
That's,
are you
that's
saying that the product of uh, of twin flame unions, it seems like their life just unrolls more effortlessly, right?
it
Things just sort
it
of
does.
click into place. Okay.
It does. And
Well,
see,
I'm not a union
different.
of twin flames, in, but you don't have to go there. It's a waste of time. Okay, good. Go on. You want to get to
Okay.
Michelle, you said, or?
So then, yes, then he started talking about Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Michelle is, um, Michelle's purpose is a little bit different. Okay, so to start off, he says, I better explain this part first. Before we incarnate, we all choose a purpose that's specific to us and individual and personal to us.
Yeah.
But that one thing that's so important that you overcome or learn or whatever it is also has a big planetary impact. So, for instance, if you're born and you're carrying a wound from a past life, when you heal that wound, when you forgive, you take your power back, you integrate it, and you release the other person from responsibility. That heals that memory in the grid that's in the earth.
Oh.
So that means that others that do not have the ability to heal can download that grid and use it to heal. It also means it repairs the planet so that new souls coming in, that memory's neutralized. It's not there anymore.
Wow.
Because remember when we talked about before, they're born and they can feel it and sometimes
Yes.
they'll act out those things.
Yeah.
So Michelle is working on her Akashic record this time, and
Mm,
it's
okay.
from her life, from the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah. I think she
And
needs help with you. I mean, I'm gonna um,
yeah,
set up
yeah, he
have
gave
her
me
set up.
some of the things to watch out for like people in that situation.
On the e-board, I asked Eric, why does she get bored so easily? Because she's like, ever since she was a kid, I said personal intimacy so that came from a past life. So that needs to be
She
worked
doesn't
out.
want to slow down so that she has time to think about it.
Oh, I
She's
see. Yeah.
constantly distracting. That's what he's
Yeah. That was
saying.
a
Yeah.
rough past life, though. Oof. She's
Yeah.
a brave warrior, spiritual
Yeah.
warrior.
Yeah. So okay. So he says, so there's a universal law that if you end someone's life or do something where the timeline ends, like in the Holocaust, for all those people, that murder, he said, those murders, you get to come back into a new timeline. It's like a cosmic reset, a do over.
Mm.
And you do this life so that it has a different outcome. So he says, so were there 4 children? Do you remember? I thought it was
Five
6.
children,
5. Okay, 5. Okay,
if
5.
I remember correctly. Yeah. And one of them was
Yeah.
Annika, apparently.
And the
And
2
so
boys.
when Annika was born, that's when Michelle started. She was 8. That's when she
Mhm.
started having a lot of problems. I think it triggered that life
It
in her
was very
subconscious.
triggered.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
said he said it was like a past
Plus, she broke her leg around that time, and that didn't help. So,
like a past life PTSD, he's saying. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So whenever a timeline has been disrupted, you get to come into a new timeline, have a better outcome. So he said she will get to be with all of those children that she was separated from in those lives. There's Annika.
yeah.
I got the very strong, yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. The 2 boys that she has now,
Hmm.
they are
Oh,
from
yeah.
that timeline. And
Oh,
he's saying the other children, I don't know necessarily that they would be her children. They could be her grandchildren, nieces, nephews, someone significant in her life.
oh,
So what he says is that she will, through her normal everyday experiences, like with work, neighbors, family, friends, coworkers, there will be situations, he's calling them opportunities, that present themselves that are similar in nature to what happened there. And it could have been like when they came and captured them,
yeah.
like that kind of thing,
Or
that
it could
fear.
be that she's an ER nurse, so she um, has somebody come in that was electrocuted or something. And because
Exactly,
yeah, okay.
exactly.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of different things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so what it'll be is her ability to, move through those things if they feel traumatic, forgive, take her power back, integrate it, and release the other person from responsibility. And so I asked Eric, well, what are the kind of things that somebody who's had that kind of a tragic ending, what kind of things would they see that would trigger them? Um, and he talked about a couple things. He talked about fumes, like if they were
Okay.
riding in a bus, the bus
Yeah.
fumes
Yeah.
might remind them of the
Because a
gas
lot of people, listeners or watchers out there, there's probably a lot that suffered in the Holocaust, either
a lot.
was killed there or suffered and then survived, but then died of other causes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. He told me another thing would, I just always think it was the power line sizzling. I don't know if you guys hear that down there, but it's some kind of insect that sizzles. It sounds
Oh.
like power line sizzling.
Oh, I don't
He's
know.
telling me like noise like that or
Oh
lightning. Was
yeah.
she afraid of storms growing
Yeah.
up?
You know what she was afraid of?
Hmm.
Trains going on the train track in our other house. It was kind of, they were rattly, and
Oh,
that's a train of the Holocaust. And Annika, there was a little penguin toy when she was just crawling that would go over the grout lines and make that same sound, and she would freak out. So we had to
yeah. Yep.
toss that
Eric's
one.
saying, yep, that's from the train taking him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah. He said other things, oh, the other thing he told me, and it's common after the birth of your children, because your heart opens in a new way and it's been so
Oh,
hard on your body. He says it's often common after the birth of a child to get re-triggered by some of these things.
oh.
He also said that um, specifically, like anything to do with racism
Hmm.
would just tweak her.
Oh God,
And
no.
so
Anything unjust, she gets upset
mhm.
with injustice.
So
She will
she might
come
have,
like a lion to
right, right.
defend anyone.
That's why. And he said, so she might have some opportunities in her life where she does defend, somebody innocent or somebody who's being picked on or racist,
Yeah.
where she has a chance to stand against that. And then he
Yeah.
goes, in genocide, and I kind of went, genocide?
What?
I said,
Oh yeah.
where is she going to see that, Eric?
All over
And
the world.
he said, well, no, just think about it for a minute. And he reminded me of something when I was a nurse. I don't even remember what year it was or what set of shots we were giving, but when you're a nurse and you're given a shot, it's all in the flow. It's a flow
Yeah.
smooth. For some reason, this one immunization we had, I think it was a flu shot or something, maybe H1N1, I don't remember. Every time I try to give it, I was like, I can't. There's something wrong here. I lost my,
Wow.
but I
Oh wait,
could do other
it just
things.
you stopped? Because I've had these weird dreams where I'm trying to spank my kid and I don't spank, okay, and I just get there and I can't do it. So funny. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah,
yeah. It's just you
kind of
don't
like
have
that.
that
Yeah.
that flow. And he said, for some reason you picked up on maybe that vaccine was he says maybe it was just toxic for you, but
Okay.
or maybe he said maybe it was toxic for other people too. And he said you just picked up on it and it just wasn't flowing for you.
Yeah.
He said she could have things like that happen.
Okay.
Also, the other very common things is eating disorder, hoarding food, eating any kind of eating disorder.
Okay.
So then
Oh,
I
I can
said,
imagine.
right, what are some things that could help her with this? And he told me just to make sure she's doing the digestive care, like teas and that kind of thing, whatever she needs to do, probiotics, teas. And he said, very important to do a liver cleanse twice a year.
Okay. Wow.
So, and there's
Interesting.
all kinds of ways you can do that.
Okay.
So then I asked, okay, so what about Lucas?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, Lucas is still defining himself and deciding who he is and what he wants to do. He is his own man. And he said, just tell him it's very important that he always follows his heart and that he
Yeah.
loves him. He said, tell all his siblings they love
Oh
him.
yeah, of
But
course.
he said he doesn't want to come in and start saying things because he wants Lucas to find out for himself, because he says he felt like Lucas would feel like he was riding in his shadow for Erik. Like it would
Oh
disempower
yeah.
him if Erik just
Oh
stepped
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
said, okay, and Lucas is going to do this, this, and this. He said Lucas gets to determine. The others have already started the process and are are working on it, so it's okay for him to talk about
Well, apparently Lucas was Christina's, during the Holocaust, husband. Christina was a Catholic who helped children, Jewish children, or maybe whole families, escape the Holocaust, escape the Nazis. So, and Lucas was married to her, but just he was kind of like uninvolved, and she got pissed at that. So it's funny.
it. Yeah, that is. He's telling me, the Holocaust was like a group consciousness.
Oh
A lot of
yeah.
souls came in to do it. Just like autism is a group consciousness. A lot of
Ooh.
souls come in to volunteer to do that.
Wow. Well,
And he said,
okay,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Nope, nope, go ahead.
Oh, he said it makes sense that many of you would have been in that lifetime together and you're all back together. You came in as a group and you're a group again in this time working, supporting each other to work through that.
Okay, so that I
So,
don't want to be selfish. I do want to extrapolate this to others. How can people out there who have not had past life regression and all that, what signs um, are there that they can pick up on that tell them that they or a family member or their children were involved in that Holocaust group consciousness?
well, like the symptoms that we were talking about,
Oh,
the
okay.
things we were talking about, he said they might be drawn to it. He said, like, remember that he's telling me about that movie Schindler's List.
Oh, yeah.
He said you may watch that, and a person who's been in the Holocaust and is carrying, he said someone who's resolved the trauma is not going to see it, but somebody who's still carrying the trauma,
Yeah.
they may be especially upset by that.
Yeah.
He's
Interesting.
saying if they're not sleeping, if they're having anxiety, he's saying, and not just the Holocaust, for anybody that's working on an Akashic record, what you're going to see is a lot of drama.
Oh,
It says you're going to see the same kind of things coming back over and over and over again.
I see.
And he says that's going to be your biggest clue, a lot of drama, and where the same type of thing keeps happening over and over and over.
Okay, let's talk about what you can do to help not only Michelle, but other people. I know that you can regress them to that life, right? The,
Mm-hmm.
and also you can take them to the Akashic records, work on their spiritual DNA. Well, I mean, you should be saying it because what do I know?
Yeah, there are so many things, and Eric's saying it depends on where the person's at, um, because he's saying like so for like Michelle, she's supposed to be a normal person. She gets to raise her children into adulthood. She gets to finish out that life that
Yeah,
was cut short from her.
yeah.
Okay, so she gets to do that this time. Um, he's saying she didn't really chart to be a medium or a psychic or anything in this lifetime. If she had, she would have to remember and go, not necessarily, you wouldn't have to remember them all, but you'd have to remember to heal those memories, and that
Yeah.
can get pretty intense and pretty hard.
Like with you and the Salem witch
Yeah,
trials. Yeah,
right.
that is,
I
yeah.
spent about 3 weeks where I couldn't even get out of bed. I was so
Oh
sick.
gosh, poor you. Oh,
I'm over it now. It's
good.
better, but that was a really hard thing to go through. And he's saying for Michelle that wouldn't help her.
Yeah.
And so he's saying you can do a past life regression so they can see those things. But if you do, you have to do some kind of therapy, some forgiveness work and taking your power back, those kinds of things. So he says you can do that. But then I've had other people who have come to me wanting to work on a past life thing. And well, I'll just tell you one lady I had, she was just about 80. And she had a lifetime where she was held captive by the Catholic Church, and she was like a sex slave for them.
Well,
And
in this life or in another life?
in another life,
Oh, okay,
and
okay.
she kept giving birth to these babies that they would take. And what they were
Oh,
doing is they were actually smothering the babies.
oh God.
And so, the guides told me it would do no good to take her back to that. It would just traumatize her
Yeah.
all the more. But what they said was, in her case, just to give her a reading, to tell her about it, and then to do the same healing work we would have done anyways.
And
So,
you'd help with that healing work, right?
mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Um,
Like in Michelle's case, um, you could regress her. She already knows about that. But how would you help heal her?
well, we would have her, I would have her in a fifth dimensional
Oh,
space
yeah, there we go.
where
Yeah.
she could speak with these other individuals
Oh,
and
yeah,
take
like you
their
did with me.
calls,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I did with you. And then the forgiveness technique, and then help her to
Oh,
we'd have to take her to the next step where she understood that this was a very brave thing she did to come into this lifetime and she basically made a huge sacrifice.
yeah.
And it was for the betterment of the planet. So if you can get her to shift it and see that, because you don't want her in, here's what Eric's saying. She wouldn't necessarily want to go in there and find out maybe that the boss that she's working with was the person that flipped the switch on the
Oh,
gas
yeah. Oh,
station,
yeah.
because
No.
how are you going to deal with that?
No,
It
no, you
happened
just
so
want to
many years
kind of have
ago.
faceless people in the
Hmm.
fifth dimension that, yeah, like you did with me.
Right. So he's saying those kinds of things can help. Another thing that can happen, and this is very odd, it's some kind of entity-like thing. It's insecticide like a Pleiadian thing that can follow families from lifetime to lifetime. And it's not just like like someone has one entity, it's like this thing with tentacles.
Okay.
So it would maybe be attached into some really dark family member that's playing out this dark role, and they'd
Okay.
be holding it, but it would have these little tentacles that would lead into other family members.
Oh,
It kind of
wow.
keeping a story together. So sometimes you got to go in and remove the entities and clear the energy.
Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I did.
I think a couple of mediums said that when she kind of changed from being so happy and sweet to real negative at 8 years old, that the broken leg, being triggered about the past life, that lowered her vibrational energy so that one, or I think it's just one negative entity connected to her, but that now that's gone. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, let me ask Eric. Is it gone? I'm feeling like, yeah, it is gone. I'm getting a
Oh,
yes.
good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
But that I have seen that happen in some families. It's a very
Wow.
strange thing. Yeah.
So y'all, if y'all have a maybe, if you have a family where there's a lot of drama and toxic relationships here and there, etc., then it could be this um,
Thing.
insect-like bee entity. Ugh. I think we should
Yeah.
call an Orkin consult, frankly. Um, that that Kim can help you with at embody dot. I mean, embody-light.com. Wow, I mean, you offer so many things. Just freaking incredible. Wow. And you're such a good channeler, too.
Oh, thank you. Well, the
Anything else
reason,
to help people out there? Oh, go ahead. That,
oh, I was just going to say the reason I trained in all those modalities was because I had, not knowing, but I had all those past life issues, and I
yeah.
couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And I tried one thing after another. It would help a little bit, and then I trained on it, so I could continue to work on myself and offer it to other people. So that's why I have so much training.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
I started a long time ago. So
Okay. Anything else that you could tell people, either who are feel like they have children that are the product of um, twin flame unions, or the people who think, yeah, I think I am a product of twin flame unions, or just anything, Eric? What do people need to hear out there?
he says they just need to stay in synchronicity and flow. The other thing he's saying about twin flames is he wanted me to make this point. It's a vibrational match thing. And you're
Yes.
going to naturally be drawn together because a lot of people think they have to go in and try to make it happen or control the circumstances. He's saying if you're doing that, you're not quite ready for it. It's a natural thing. You will be drawn together. It's a magnetic thing if it's supposed to happen in the right
Yes.
divine timing.
Yeah.
And he's just saying that most of the issues, okay, so if it's from a past life, most of the issues are going to present very similar in a current life. So if you deal with that situation in your current life, you don't have to go back into past lives and learn it. It'll just take care of it if you do it in this life.
Oh,
But
good.
what he's saying is if you're somebody who's had a problem and tried dealing with all these things in the current timeline and you just can't do it, there's a pretty good indication it's past life. It's you're going to have to do like some quantum work in different timelines, and that'll take
Yes.
care of it.
Wow. So there's always a solution. That is so good.
Yeah, he says there's all kinds of healers out there that can help
Yeah.
you
Is
with
that
this.
reenacting an hour in my family, this timeline?
Is it reenacting? Well,
Here and there?
yes. I mean, the children.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
she's
mean,
having
that makes,
children.
yeah, yeah.
Um, he's not telling me that anybody is particularly triggering her. He's kind of saying that um, it would have been too close for comfort for her to have like people that maybe played out a negative role in that
Oh,
lifetime
yeah,
that
no,
close to her. That would have sent
no.
her over the edge, he said.
Yeah.
He said, he's telling me because it's like this, it's like it's the memory's there and it's under the surface,
Hmm.
and it almost wants to come out.
Yeah.
But he's saying, like, particularly with Michelle, with what you told me, she just keeps herself so busy
Yeah.
so that it doesn't come up and that she
She
doesn't have to think
loves
about
work. Now, Arlene, Eric said that that's her eldest from another daddy, split off from Source directly and didn't really have any past life. I thought that was interesting. And somebody also said that our kids, especially, for example, Michelle, chose her parents because she knew that we would be really supportive and loving while she worked out this very difficult,
it. Exactly. You
deal.
contracted with her to
Yeah.
do that.
Nick is her very sweet husband. Was he involved in any of that life, or
Let me
Nicholas
see here.
Murphy?
I got a yes on that.
Ooh, how so?
That's what I'm trying to find out here. Like a very close friend or neighbor or something, a very close
Okay.
friend. I asked husband, and then that was a definite no, but a very close friend.
All right, that's good.
Somebody she really relied on and counted on for moral support and that kind of thing.
Was he Jewish?
Yes, I got.
Okay. Okay. Well, now he's as un-Jewish as he can be. That's so funny. All right. Well, that's good. So you guys, I know this has been a lot about my family, but you're hopefully going to see that there's so many people out there with the same thing going on, and it's not just the Holocaust, like you said, Kim. It's also the autism collective, and maybe some others. Kim, are there some other biggies? World War II. I know that was kind of hard.
Exactly. Yeah. World War II, the Holocaust. I mean,
The Spanish
things
flu.
like Spanish. Yeah, Spanish Inquisition.
Oh
The same
yeah.
thing. Eric is just telling me one more thing. He says, "Don't forget to say this." Okay, so we have two grids on our planet
Oh,
currently we can hook into. There's the third dimensional grid, which is all the chaos.
okay.
There's the fifth dimensional grid, which is the peace, the love, the understanding. That's where we all want to be.
Yeah.
When you're going through these things, when you're having a lot of trauma and chaos, it's because you're hooked into the third dimensional grid. So what really helps is to keep your energy in the new grid, in the 5D grid, as much as you can, because that keeps your vibration high enough, and then those things don't bother you.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, tell my mom how it is for you. Because, okay, so like, say I wake up and I haven't gotten enough sleep and I'm a little crabby, I'm in the 3D grid because I'm
Okay.
just being irritable and crabby and bitchy, or Eric's saying bitchy.
Oh, Eric.
He's calling me out. So,
Well, I got my bitchy days too. I think everybody
but
does.
so I'll be like that, and then I am in the 3D grid. When I'm like that, then I'm still thinking about my mother, what she did almost
Oh
400
yeah.
years ago in Salem,
Yeah.
and what this person did and what that person did.
Yeah.
Until I raise my vibration and get into the 5D grid, then all that nonsense goes away. It doesn't bother me. I see
Yeah.
the bigger picture, but sometimes I have to work on it to keep myself in that grid,
Yeah. It's almost like if you
because
raise your
any
vibe.
little thing can happen and I can drop back into it.
Yeah. It's almost like if you raise your vibration, then you can put yourself from victim mode to observer mode. Oh, okay. You know, this is.
Exactly. That's what it is.
And
Exactly.
can you help other people learn techniques on how to? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can raise their vibration with it, but teach
Yeah.
them how to ways to raise their vibration.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things, I mean, I just talk them through it, but one of the things we always do is you just imagine dropping a grounding cord into the earth and you just kind of feel it. You feel
Yeah.
yourself kicking in and grounding. And just tell yourself you're connecting into the new 5D grid
Oh,
and just make that connection. And he says, practice, practice,
yeah.
practice, practice, and you'll
And
get it.
listen to your watch your favorite stand-up comic, I guess. Listen to the music you love. Do the things you like, whether it's painting or sculpting or writing poetry. Just anything
Exactly.
that taps into joy. Right?
Exactly. That's it. He's saying that is it exactly.
All right. That's
So he's just
very
saying
cool.
Michelle's doing a really good job with it. Oh, he's making one more point. Do you remember when he first transitioned? And I don't remember which medium was channeling him, but he said something to the effect of he was worried about Michelle because he left earlier than he was supposed to.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was worried that she wouldn't be able to do her job she was supposed to do,
Yeah.
her purpose. That was it. That's what he was referring to.
Oh,
And
okay.
he is congratulating her because he's
Yeah.
saying
Oh,
she's
she's
doing her
one
work.
of the best ER nurses ever. They love
Mm.
her and she loves them and she's just really so good. She has saved so many lives. Anyway, that's awesome. Anything else you want to share? We don't have to have a whole hour, but that's how it's
No,
been.
no, it was just that personal stuff he came up with your family. And like you said, it is personal to you, but he says, but it's the same thing that happens in a lot of families and people will
Yeah.
be able to relate.
All
So,
right.
and it's just
So,
saying it helps people when they to understand it, when they can understand it through real people and real situations, how it's actually occurring in
oh,
their life.
now that is true. That
So,
is true.
thanks, Mom, for sharing.
Oh, thank you. I
Our
love you.
stories,
And Kim, I
everyone.
love you. You guys got to
Well,
check
I love
out what she
you.
has to offer because it's like a Chinese menu, right? On
Yeah.
embody-light.com. And I love you guys. Hit the like button if you can. And if you didn't, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I will
Eric
hold on if
loves
you want me
you.
to. I love you,
Eric loves
baby.
you. Yeah.
Love you.
Okay.